Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I am so excited to get for you the Audi Q3 S Line. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all the exteriors, interiors, and we'll be going on a short drive. Before we move forward, please consider subscribing to my channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video notifications from my channel. To start things off from the front, let me acknowledge first the fact that when manufacturers introduce different sort of colors, I really appreciate that because it takes quite courage, to be honest, to release some unique colors. And a color like this, which is the turbo blue, it looks stunning during the bright daylight. So kickstarting things from the front, you get big grille out here with the Audi logo, which is again in the chrome finish, and these blacked out grills in between with a silver sort of partition in between them. There is also this silver surround around the grille, and then there is this dark gray trim which goes all the way to the other side, and then there are parking sensors out here. And then you get the headlight cluster is an LED headlight cluster along with the DRL. So this is a part of the S Line optional feature that you can upgrade to, and also you get the tail light, which is an LED tail light cluster. But the illumination from these headlights is fantastic. It's super bright, and also there are cornering lights, so whenever you're turning, it would illuminate that path for you, whichever side it is. On the sides, you get 5-spoke 19-inch alloy rims and the S Line badging, and a non-power foldable but blind spot warning mirror. So you get a keyless entry system and also the S Line scuff plate on the door frame, which illuminates at night. Again, that's also a part of an S Line package. And at the bottom you would find this dark gray blade and also a chrome surround that goes all the way till the back and covering the entire window frame. On the top you get the roof rails, which is again in silver, and at the back you get this sort of haunch, and it's more evident in the Q3 Sportline, but in this it's a subtle one, so it's pretty roundish. Now in the back, let me first tell you some facts. Now the new Q3 is 18 millimeters wider and 97 millimeters longer. Now that may not sound much, but in terms of the space inside and the boot space, it's a huge gain. Now starting off from the back, you get the LED tail light cluster along with the sequential turning lights, which looks pretty cool at night. Q3 badging, the Audi rings, famous Ford rings, which are again in chrome, 3.5 TFSI. At the bottom you would notice that there is no exhaust, and also there are no fake vents, which is pretty cool that they've managed to just get rid of the exhaust entirely and put it at the bottom and get this sort of clean like a clean backside. The rear glass may seem a little smaller, but the visibility is pretty excellent. Like when you see it from the driver's position, you get a pretty airy view from inside. Coming to the boot space, it is super huge. Now there's a parcel shelf, but when you have the parcel shelf and the seats, the rear seats, which are all the way till the back, so the rear seats are also slidable, which I'm going to be covering later on when we go into the interior. So when these seats are completely pushed behind, you get 530 liters of boot space, but when these seats are completely pushed ahead, then you get 670 liters of boot space. And when these seats are dropped, you get 1525 liters of boot space. That is super huge when it comes to a sort of an SUV which is pretty small in terms of its size, but that's where that extra 97 millimeters and the 18 millimeters width has come into the play. You get the aluminum scuff plates in the back so that you don't damage your body paint, this amazing turbo blue. And also this parcel shelf can be put at the bottom, so there is like a proper tray area, and that is so cool because you don't have to waste your space putting this parcel shelf somewhere. At the bottom you would get an 18-inch spare wheel along with the entire toolkit. There are also boot lights and some more tying points, but in terms of the space compared to the competitors, it's pretty huge. So let me tell you first thing that when you are in an Audi, you already know that the material quality is going to be great, and that actually continues in this Q3. Also you get soft touch plastic everywhere, and on the door cards at the bottom you would find the normal plastic, but even that quality is pretty good. Like, you know, it's not the cheap plastic, but it's a very good plastic. And then you would find this aluminum material out here along with the dark gray aluminum, brushed aluminum, and then there is this Audi logo. Let me first come straight to this Audi logo, because this thing illuminates at night. And then not even that, there are 30 colors with which you can change this light, and also there are mood lightings in the car itself along with this light for this Audi logo that you can change completely 30 colors, and that looks so cool at night. You know, that's in fact one of my favorite features, although it's just a simple thing of, you know, illuminating the logo, but that looks pretty good at night. So coming to the multi-information display, you get 10.3 inch bright crystal clear LED screen, and that looks fantastic. Like, it's so clear and it loads up quickly the moment you sit inside. And there is a special button called as the view, with which you can change the dials and make, you know, different sort of settings. Like if you want the clusters showing the speedometer and the RPM to be the smaller one, and, you know, the information to be the bigger one, but when you press it again, it sort of equals everything, you know, clearly. And then you can also use the scroll button given, with which you can change different sort of information that you can see related to your trip, your economy, your media, the date and time, and also you can put more settings from the infotainment screen. So you can add more options also, but the screen is, I mean, during the daylight also there is no glare or anything on it. Coming to the steering wheel, you get the manually adjustable tilt and telescopic steering wheel along with the flat bottom and the S badging on the steering wheel. That looks pretty sporty. And on your right side, you would find the infotainment controls and your communication controls, your voice controls, and on the left side you would find the controls to change the various displays on your infotainment, infotainment, the multimedia screen, which is the display in the dashboard. So there is the cruise control and also a limiter, but the switch is given at the bottom on the left side, and it's a pretty easy to use system with clearly marked functions. And you, as a part of a Sportline package, you also get the steel pedals. Now the infotainment screen is an 8.8 inch bright screen. Again, I keep mentioning the fact bright because you know, during the day it's very essential to have brighter screens so that you can see the information, because it's not like your traditional dials which you would see irrespective of the daylight, but then it's very important that they are bright yet clear enough, and this is a very clear screen. And also this is adjusted at a little angle towards the driver side so that it is easier for the driver to control. Although there are no dials to control the screen, straightforward touch screen, so the features are pretty simple. Like you get your radio, media, telephone, phone apps, car shortcuts, settings, and everything inside the system, and very simple to operate. You get the radio option, you get the Bluetooth connectivity, you get the communication options, and then you can do the finer changes for your car in terms of, you know, how you want the outer lights to stay long, for the door locks and everything. The finer settings you can all change from this infotainment screen. Now in terms of connectivity, you would get Bluetooth. There is also 4 USBs, one standard USB in the front, one USB-C connector, and 2 USB-C connectors in the back. They can also be used for charging, and also there is also one 120 watt power socket and also one 120 watt power socket in the back. So that is for the charging. But coming truly to the connectivity, which I mentioned, is the Bluetooth and the USB. There is also a media card storage, so you can put your SD card in the glove box. There is like a slot given, and then you can play all the files from the screen itself. But there is also Apple CarPlay, but you have to connect your Apple phones using the Bluetooth, and then you can use the CarPlay. The seats are made out of leather seats and also the Alcantara material, and with this white stitching. And also there is this S line, just the S badging, which is embossed on the seats in the front. So the seats are usually very comfortable, and these are the bucket seats, which is again a part of an S line option. And the driver side seat is 8-way adjustable and 4-way power adjustable, but the passenger seat is just mechanically adjustable, but the lumbar support is four-way adjustable for both the driver and the passenger. There is also an extension which is mechanically operated, so you can extend these seats for the passenger and the driver, so it's pretty comfortable during the longer journeys. The air conditioning controls are straightforward dials and buttons, so everything has a button or a dial for it. So it's a dual zone, but you cannot lock it, you know, when the driver and the passengers you want to keep the same temperature, so there is no button like that, but it's still got individual controls for the passenger and the driver, and straightforward like dials. The dials are supreme quality. I mean, the fit and finish on this car, oh my god, that is something. Like at the bottom you would find this weirdly strange volume dial which has been fitted at the bottom instead of, you know, next to the infotainment screen, so it takes a bit of a habit of, you know, getting used to the dial which is present at the bottom. So after the air conditioning controls, there are more switches for your traction control, your hazard warning lights, the parking assist, the button for that, and also the hill hold assist, and all of those buttons are mounted at the bottom. You get this big chunky gear lever. Now coming to the space, you can easily put like 1.5 liters worth of bottles on both the door cards in the front and 1 liter worth in the back. Then you get these big 2 cup holders along with the slot to put your phones, like a single phone. And also there is another, so usually you would find an upgrade, as a part of an upgrade, a wireless charger. So if there is no wireless charger, there is like a space out here where you can store your phones or anything, your wallets or anything. There's also additional storage next to the on the left side at the bottom of the steering wheel. There is also a big glove box covered with this sort of velvet material. I don't know why I love this, like, oh, it's just the quality, I mean, wow. So there is also this center armrest, and inside which there is decent amount of storage, but this is slidable. Now what happens is, when you slide this, you cannot use the second cup holder, so that is a bit in the way. But there are more buttons out here, the parking and auto brake assist. So there is also a cool way to open the door. So usually you would have a handle which you would just pull it towards your side, but in this you have to put your fingers under the handle and then pull it, and then you open the doors. Pretty cool. Well, in the back, first again let me acknowledge the fact that the space utilization in this car is extremely well, because this driving seat is in my position, and you can still see there's quite a bit of legroom. Also these driver seat and the passenger seats are curved in a way where they can fit the leg, so giving you more leg room and the knee room. Also you can slide your feet under the seats, and there is enough of room around to flex your legs. So if you see the headroom, that takes a bit of a hit because the car is sloping. So if you are more than 6 feet, then you may have a little bit of a struggle, especially if you are 3 people sitting in the back. So coming to the middle seat, this middle seat is very flat, and also the transmission tunnel isn't that big, so you can also sit in the middle and, you know, put your feet around the transmission tunnel, and it's a pretty comfortable ride that way, so, you know, for the middle passenger also. So 3 people can easily sit in the back, and the quality of materials in the back also is continued with the soft touch materials in the door cards, and also this fancy door handle. And again, 1 liter worth of bottle storage. You get 2 AC vents in the back. You can just control the flow of air, and also at the bottom 2 USB-C chargers and a 12-volt power socket. Now there is no sunroof in this car, but that I will discuss what has its benefits, you know, when you don't have a sunroof. These seats are made out of leather again, and this white stitching, and both the seats on the either side are slidable. Now this is a pretty cool feature, so you can adjust your seat and also give more cargo space in the back. And also these seats are collapsible in a ratio of 40:20:40, so you can there's also this handrest out here, and when you press, there's a cool way where these cup holders, you know, pop out, and then when you don't want them, you can put them back. So whenever you want to use the middle compartment to store something in the boot, so you can drop the middle handrest down, and then there is a through and through space with which you can access the boot. Also, if you want to reach out to something in the boot, you can just take something out, and then when you are done, you can put the seats back. So the Q3 comes with 12 speaker music system. The speakers are all around in the back. Also, there are 6 speakers in the rear and 6 speakers in the front. Now this particular model is an Audi Q3 S Line 35 TFSI S Tronic version. Now the TFSI is related to the engine. So this particular model comes with a 1.4 liter turbocharged TFSI petrol engine that produces 150 brake horsepower and 250 Newton meters of torque. Let me explain you the term TFSI, which is the turbocharged fuel stratified injection, or more commonly known as the direct injection method. Now this is a highly efficient injection method, and as a result of that, this car averages anywhere between 12 to 13, which is pretty cool for is an SUV, basically, because this comes with an all-wheel drive system, and also it's clubbed to a 6-speed gearbox. But more specifically, let me come to the engine gearbox, the experience of that, and that is supreme, like so smooth. I mean, there is no turbo lag from the system. Like I was usually you would expect, like, there will be a turbocharger, and then once the RPM start to get over 2000, then the turbo starts showing its effect. But in this, there's nothing. Like, the moment you press the throttle, the engine is just ready. And it's not even the gear, there's no transition between the gear shifts. Like, you wouldn't even feel like a jerk or anything. Everything just happens so smoothly, everything, like from the engine to the transmission to the wheel. So there's really not much to say, because I mean, these are one of the finest engines, and probably one of the finest engines that I have driven. The steering wheel is pretty pointy, pretty light, and it wouldn't let you feel the weight of the car, but also at the same time it gives you a lot of feedback of the road and the surface. The chassis control is so good, because whichever surface it is always trying to making sure that it is always flat. So as a result, if you are even the slightest bumps or any jerks that come around, the chassis takes all of that, and it always sort of maintains that calm and composed the feel while you are driving. And that also induces driving confidence, because the steering is so precise, because I already know at what speed and I know that it will turn at that speed, so I can push the car to that much speed and then get that turning action. Also, even the turning radius is pretty small in an SUV, but also because it's a Q3, so it's going to be nippy also, because the wheelbase that way is pretty short. It's more like a sedan sort of feel that you would get when you are driving. Also, the seats go all the way down, so that would give you a position of a sedan when you are driving it. Coming to the brakes, wow, they grip quite well. The pedal is in action, and there is, like, throughout the travel you would find the braking action, not like when you press and then there is a little bit of lag, and then there is no action happening initially, and then when you press it further. But in this it starts from the word go. Now, because I had mentioned that this car doesn't have any sunroof, and what that does is the build quality is pretty premium, and there is no noise, vibration or anything, so the NVH levels are kept in check. And because there is no sunroof, it adds to the additional layer of not having to cover up the sunroof, which would usually leak sound into the cabin. So as a result, again, that improves in the NVH levels. Now, coming to the safety systems, it's an Audi, so they would make sure that you have the best in class safety systems. So you have 2 airbags in the front for the driver and the passenger, 2 curtain airbags, and also you get the child ISOFIX points. There is also ABS, there is brake assist, there is also lane departure warning, which will will tell you like where the you know, if you're changing the lane and if there is someone behind you, so it would warn you about that. Also, a single camera parking system, the output from which is pretty crisp and clear, and also there are parking lines to assist you. There is also blind spot warning system. There is also tire pressure monitoring system. Also, this car comes with a sport mode, so you using just the gear lever you can switch it into the sport mode, but already the car is so you know, responsive, but it just makes it to the next level. Like, you know, the gear changes are much quicker, and it also uses pretty much the entire gear the RPM range. So yeah, it does that. And my god, like, this is a 1.4 liter engine trying to do this. Also, in the sport mode, it tries to hold the gears for a longer time, even though you've lifted the throttle pedal and the speed is tending to go down. But it tries to, you know, judge that, you know, maybe you would come back with a throttle response, so which is why it tries to stick to that gear and the RPM. The starting range for the Audi Q3 starts from 143,000, and then you can spec all the way up to 185,000. I'll be putting the exact numbers on the screen in front of you. So look, you're paying the price for the quality engineering, you know, the fit and the finish, the choice of materials, the ride quality, and all of it is delivered in this car. It's super practical. It's got immense space in the boot, and also for the rear passengers. It's loaded with so many cool features. It's got a touchscreen which is intuitive and easy to use, everyday kind of usable, because it delivers an economy of 12 to 13. And I would just suggest to consider it, or at least give it a test drive, so you can judge for yourself, you know, of what really German engineering is. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, then click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye and take care.